Hello and welcome to the Tuesday Night Music Show. We have Kevin here talking through a tin can. He's got his tin can ready to go, and we have Boston John here from Boston, in Boston. Well, close enough anyway. Awesome. And Eric, and in his tool shed, and we may get Jay later. It is his birthday today. So we don't know what he's doing. Maybe we don't want to know what he's doing, but yes, he may or may not pop in. If he pops in, we'll sing happy birthday to him. No, we won't.
We'll play it because we're DJs. We don't sing it.
Well, Eric does. He does karaoke.
I'll clear my throat and belt one out for him.
There you go. Eric will serenade Jay for his birthday.
Nice.
Nice. Well, before we get into the music stuff, I have a question for the room. Has anyone in here, any one of you, heard the term imposter syndrome before?
No. Possibly.
This is the new one for me, and I had to look it up. And what? I'll give you the backstory. So, just for engagement purposes, I was thinking about making a video about it, and I may still do it, but I got sidetracked with this whole imposter thing. I made a post. I'll give you the long version of the story. I've been watching comedies, like stupid sitcoms, because I don't need any stress in my life. So when it's time to sit down and chill, I don't want action films. I don't want anything stressful. I don't want anything exciting. I want something just funny and lighthearted and stupid. Something I can turn on for a half an hour, on some streaming service, and then turn off whenever I want to and pick it up when I want to. And it's maybe I laugh, but I don't have to think too much, just easier than Fast and Furious, for instance, or Terminator, like Blanca might want to watch. So I'm on to Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'd never seen that before. And I was watching it, and the chief, it's about a police station, a police precinct in Brooklyn. And the chief was doing these evaluations of all of the officers. And one came into the room, so I got one question for you, only one question. What is your greatest weakness? And this was somebody who was always, talking about themselves, pretty highly, So this was the challenge of this person to come up with something that they felt was their weakness. And I thought about this. I thought, that'd be an interesting exercise for DJs. What's your greatest weakness? So I made the post on social media, and I got a lot of people responding to it. And two people said simply imposter syndrome was their greatest weakness. I thought, what is this? So I had to look it up because, I don't know everything. And it turns out what this is, it's a thing that people have where, let's say they're really good at what they do, but for some reason they feel like they're not good enough. Somebody gets admitted to college who worked really hard and they got in the back of their mind, they're thinking there was a mistake somewhere. I'm not really supposed to be here. Like they don't give themselves credit for their talents, skills, accolades, things like that. Like they don't give themselves enough credit for what they do. That is imposter syndrome. Can anybody relate to that in here?
So they think the character that made the advancement isn't actually themselves. It
must be a mistake.
They're not in the spot where they're supposed to be, and it's that they're going to try to make the best of the situation, I guess.
They don't believe that they've achieved what they've achieved. Like, this is a mistake. I'm like a DJ, for instance, would be somebody who's, pretty good. They're out there, they're DJing, but in the back of their mind, they're thinking, I really shouldn't be here. Somebody else should be here. I'm not that good. I shouldn't be, doing this wedding or doing this club or whatever, because I'm really not that good. And
it's a self-doubt thing. So
a bit, yeah.
Your own, you're your own worst critic, but if you don't think you're up to the task, you're like, wow, I'm really over my head or something like that.
When they're totally qualified and capable of doing the job, they may think, maybe I'm not good enough kind of thing, or I'm faking it. I'm faking my way through this kind of thing. That's imposter syndrome.
Someone who's also a perfectionist.
Yes.
Yes, right?
It's never good enough.
Right.
Yeah, no matter what you do, it's not good enough.
Right.
It should have been better.
Mhm.
They just, I thought it was interesting, and I thought about it afterward. Am I, when it comes to DJing, is this something that I feel like that I have? No, I don't feel like I have imposter syndrome. But I was just curious if anyone else, and it's okay if you do, but
Well, there's certain things you have to work through until you develop the confidence to say, I can do this flawlessly. Like, I didn't like talking on the mic initially, and it's something you have to, validate yourself and say, you almost have to psych yourself up to get on and say
yeah,
things.
sure.
Now, after X amount of decades,
Yeah,
you come in with that no fear attitude, like, yeah, I got this,
right.
give me that. And it's no big deal. So you just kind of have to work through your fears. So if you're harboring a lot of insecurity about what you think you're doing it the right way, but there's no one to talk to, no one to ask. Maybe you don't know. There's
Mhm.
no one to reinforce the fact that, yeah, you're doing a good job. Because no one pats us on the back until the end of the show and says, "Oh, that was
Right.
awesome," or "That was the best party I've been to." So up
Well,
until
the thing
that
with
point,
the
winging it.
phenomenon with imposter syndrome is that although you're getting praise and accolades, you don't feel like you're worthy of them.
You don't deserve it.
You're right.
You don't
For some
absorb
reason,
them.
you feel
Yeah.
like that. Well, there was a mistake. It really should have been somebody else, or I'm not as good as they're saying I am. That's what I'm getting from the imposter syndrome thing. What I'm reading here, I can give you a rough definition here. I actually took the time and saved some of this crap.
This landed in Webster already. This is one of those new added terms.
It's been around for a minute, I guess. Imposter syndrome is a condition of feeling anxious or not experiencing success internally despite being high performing in external objective ways. The condition often results in people feeling like a fraud or a phony or doubting their abilities.
Hmm.
It's probably a better way of explaining it than I attempted to explain it.
Oh, well, yours was fine too, but it's the internalization of it. It's how they feel. It's not how they're perceived.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
something that lives inside of them that they have to work
Yes.
through.
Yes, everyone else sees something fantastic or good or solid, but they don't see it as such. And like Eric had said, it could be someone who's a perfectionist and it's just never good enough.
Yeah.
No matter what they do, it's not good enough.
Yeah, but that definition you just described, Brian, do you imagine walking around feeling like that every day? I couldn't imagine that.
I can't tell you that I haven't suffered from imposter syndrome. I can tell you that I'm not currently suffering from it.
Yeah.
But like John was saying, I remember when I was DJing for that first, big multi-hop, and they had what they called the key DJ, who was the head DJ on a job, and they had the assistant. And I was the assistant for like a year. And I would go out with all of these people. And I would step in and do the things that they did too. I would talk on the mic and run the wedding or run the whatever. The assistant typically was someone who was helping carry gear, pulling tracks, and I would DJ as well. And the other person, the key person, would be the one who was kind of running things on the mic and organizing the activities and all those things. Well, I mean, again, I would do it too. I would step in and do it. And after a year, they were saying, well, you need to go out and be a key now. And I'm like, well, I'm not ready for that. I think, oh, no. You're better than the people you've been working with. You have been key with these people for months. It's time for you to have your assistant go out and be key. But in my mind, I wasn't there yet because I know why. Because I felt like, a wedding day is such an important thing to somebody. I don't want to be the one who screws it up for them.
Yeah.
I don't want to go in unprepared and, but they saw something in me that I didn't see. So, that I can relate to. Where I didn't feel like it was enough, but everyone around me said it was. I guess that could be imposter syndrome, right?
Well, until you get the chance to flap your own wings, you're always the opener and never the headliner. So you have to really see, am I capable of doing this? And have the honest conversation with yourself. Are you ready? Do you know it as well as the key? Do you know it beginning to end, front to back? Like there's no way you can miss something or make a mistake.
Yeah.
And other than that, the only thing that's going to show you that you're actually ready to do it is to get out from behind the fear and do it.
Right.
You know,
But once you got pushed to go out and do it, and then you had an assistant, you didn't feel that anymore, did you?
No, but
Okay.
and that's kind of the thing. So I don't think I'm chronically ever suffer. I don't think I've ever chronically suffered from it.
Yeah.
But I I understand how people can get into things like that with
Absolutely. Yeah.
different things in their lives,
New experiences.
or maybe not. I mean, that's the crazy part. It doesn't necessarily have to be a new experience. I think this has more to do with people who just don't feel deserving of what they've earned, kind of thing.
It's like
I thought it would be an interesting topic. It has nothing to do with music, but I wanted to bring it up.
Sure. DJs, every show is a new experience. We don't know who's going to be in front of us. And, every show is different. Every crowd is different. So if you feel like that, good luck. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but to have the feeling inside you for every show you do, because Brian asked this amongst DJs, I believe, he did a Facebook post, I think it was. And how could you go out there every show for 4 hours anyway and feel like that inside?
Yeah.
And you're going to go home depressed every night and everybody's high-fiving you at the end of the night. Great job, great job. And that doesn't click, right? It's just not clicking.
Right. Oh, it could have been better. It should have been better.
Yeah.
Well, could have done this different or that different. Or...
You got to allow too harshly.
Yeah, you got to allow yourself the flexibility too. If you set the bar of it has to be this way, that's the line.
Right.
And you've got to adapt and twist and turn on these gigs because things can change on a dime. It's like, well, it didn't happen the way I had it pictured. Well,
right.
I go with that pictured because maybe that's unrealistic. And
it's like the bride's picture. You're afraid you're not getting that bride what she wants. And then it's like, oh, I feel bad. I keep doing this? Self-doubt creeps in, and then it can sort of snowball.
I went through some of the things that I felt were my weaknesses. And one of those things was that I'm not competitive to a fault, where I do what I do and I don't really worry about what the next guy's doing. And sometimes I should be, maybe, but I'm not, because I don't care. I'm very comfortable with being me. And I don't, I respect this person as an artist, but I'm not trying to be better than them or anything like that. I am who I am and they are who they are. I'm not trying to compete with them. I feel like that may be not always a strength. It is sometimes, but maybe not always. And I don't know. I had to look something up just out of curiosity, because I'm always checking myself. If I can say with a straight face that I don't suffer from imposter syndrome, I feel like I'm comfortable in my own skin, and I'm aware of what's the opposite of imposter syndrome and what's its definition. I looked that up as well because I was curious. And I'll read it to you because I got it right here. Okay. It's called Dunning-Kruger effect. Essentially, this happens when you're bursting with confidence, yet your skills don't quite match up with how great you think you are.
Oh, that's definitely me.
We all know a few of them. Yeah.
There must be a picture of me in that picture.
So there's the other one. What did I call it? Something Kruger syndrome? What the hell's it called?
Dunning-Kruger?
Yeah, Dunning-Kruger syndrome.
Okay.
So I have to ask myself, if I don't have imposter syndrome, do I have Dunning-Kruger syndrome?
I hope
no. I don't think I do. I think I'm aware. I'm self-aware. I don't think I'm the best, but I know I'm competent, and I'm relatively confident, but I don't think I'm overconfident. But I do. But when I say this, out of curiosity, before we stop beating this dead horse, when I say Dunning-Kruger syndrome and I give you that definition, does anyone come to mind?
Oh, a person.
Yeah. Can you think of a DJ
in
or a person?
the DJ
Like,
industry.
I know that guy.
People that gaff tape wires to grass, those people. Do lots of work. Oh,
So overachievers. But I was thinking of people who just, I know people who think very highly of themselves.
Yeah,
And
we all know that person.
talk a big talk, but don't walk the walk, or walk the walk, but don't talk the talk, or whatever the saying is. I know those guys too. And I can say with confidence that I don't feel like that I suffer from that affliction either. So,
is the more modern term called the full of guy?
full of malarkey guy.
Full of S guy?
Did you say the Milwaukee guy?
No. I said full of S.
No, John. Did you say the Milwaukee guy?
No, malarkey.
Malarkey. Oh, Malarkey.
Coming up.
Malarkey.
An old Irish word.
Milwaukee guy. I'm like, hey, I thought we were friends here. Come on, man. Throwing shade.
No shade on Milwaukee. With these people that push that they're so great and whatever, generally, you say don't have the skills to pay the bills, or they're floating by on thinking how awesome they are, or they're constantly telling themselves how awesome they are, or making videos and saying how awesome
and
they are,
telling others how awesome they are.
Yes, and it's not always it's not always valid, and sometimes there's no substance to that, and when you dig a little deeper, you know this person really doesn't know all about what they're talking about.
You're trying to.
So is that like when they say, "Where's the beef?"
It's interesting you bring that up, though, because someone else had said they have a really hard time like talking themselves up or selling themselves to customers. Mm-hmm. I have that where, look, if I've done a wedding for somebody or a gig or whatever, and they tell a friend, hey, you need a DJ, you call this guy, and they call me, we're going to get along great because they've already gotten a solid referral that they trust, and we can jump right into the planning process, and there we can just kind of continue on, and they can have, hopefully a successful event if all things fall into place right. What I do have a hard time doing is that new client who says, well, tell me why you're different than the next guy. Oh my God. I hate that.
That's a hard question. I mean, all we can do is talk ourselves up. You never want to try to talk someone else down. You can say what you do better, but not how they do it worse. It's dicey. You have to use friendly words.
Yeah.
I'm great.
I mean, all I've ever been able to do, and this is how I flip it on them. I'm like, look, I'm happy to answer any questions you have, but before I do that, do you mind if I ask you some questions? And they say, sure. And then I start in with, tell me about the event. What time does it start? How long is the ceremony? What's going on after the ceremony? What time does this happen? What time does that happen? And from my line of questioning, what I'm doing is qualifying myself as somebody who knows what he's talking about without telling them, I'm awesome, because I don't want to do that.
Sure. Like I say, if you ask smart questions, they know your head's in the right place. And
right. That's all I can do. Because I can't tell them,
And if someone else wants to have them hired for a gig and they're like, yeah, it starts at 8. Great, that's all I need. Like, you didn't ask me about the event. You didn't ask. Well, I like the guy that asked me 20 questions because he genuinely cares. He wants to know what he's getting into. And I respect that. And that's, without saying you're great, that's a way of showing you're great.
Well, I try to give them a tip or two, or they say they want to do one thing. It's like, have you thought about doing this? And the reason I suggest this is, take it or leave it, but it's a free tip. This isn't, I'm not saying that out loud, but that's what I'm thinking in my head. I'm not going to do all the work for you before you pull the trigger, but I will give you something that you can, if you decide you hate me, I'll give you something to take to your $500 DJ and tell them to do. I'll give you one thing. But I don't know. It's just interesting to me, that whole phenomenon. And I thought I'd bring it up.
Well, that could fall into a couple of different categories. Like you say, it's not necessarily about the selling process or the hiring. It could be about the gigs themselves.
Yeah.
How they feel about the gear they're using, how they feel about the car they're driving, their life, their wife, their...
Exactly.
There's so much that could get tied up in that you're just never enough with anything you try to do. And that's got to be maddening to just not have that level of, hey, I'm doing okay. Once in a while, you got to tell yourself that.
Right.
That condition, I don't think it just stops with career. I think John's right. They feel like that about everything in their life. I don't think it just shuts off at their career.
Right.
They must feel like that about everything.
Oh,
Yeah, I
well,
put the stamp
maybe.
on the envelope, right? That stamp's crooked. It could be what's that word there? Well, my wife has it. Not
Careful. Careful.
Yeah.
well,
Family show. Come on now.
nothing like that. There's OCD.
Okay.
compulsive.
Obsessive compulsive disorder.
Right.
Yeah.
That could have a lot to do with that as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's.
Yeah.
I don't. But they're not mutually exclusive. So you can be OCD or whatever, and still, or have this thing where you just never feel like that.
Yeah.
You're an imposter, basically.
One's
one. Yeah.
attitude and one's, neurological. So it's something that's beyond your control. It's just like, take a can off the grocery store and you straighten the cans around it because you disturbed something. It's like that level of something's wrong with you.
I do admire people striving to do their best. I mean, I really do admire that. And knowing that, I can work on this. I can improve this. I admire that quality. But on the other hand, it's like I've always told my daughter. I told her this her whole life. All I expect is your best. That's all I expect from you. Nothing more, nothing less. I expect your best. And if you've done your absolute best, we're good. Even if you fail, if you've done your best, we're good. So it's how I think of stuff, I guess. Right or wrong, I don't know. This is how I think of stuff. I was told today I was the cool parent.
That's cool.
By who?
Always nice to hear.
Mother-in-law?
Yeah.
Your mother-in-law? Who told you that? Your mother-in-law?
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Or maybe she said something else. I don't know. My Spanish is bad. Who knows what she said? She could have said something very different. I don't know. Is pendejo a bad word in Spanish? I don't know.
I think it still is. Yeah,
that might be.
Yeah, is that that's good, isn't it? That means you're a good guy. I don't know.
You're a good man. Yeah.
Yeah, good man. Yeah. So
yeah,
I thought that was something interesting to bring up anyway. Something that's been on my mind anyway.
For the new terminology, at least as a response to your post, for sure.
Yeah. I was going to, take this one way, but then it went this other way. And this is an interesting concept or an interesting thought process. And I definitely know people like this. And we know people like this on both sides. Those who do incredibly well, yet don't feel like they're good enough. And then those who, quite frankly, kind of blow, but they think they're awesome. We know those people too. Mm-hmm. It's just
they're all out there.
Nothing behind the pretty face kind of thing. We know a lot of those people, unfortunately, in this business because there's a lot of hype. It's just cool to be able to talk to people who know who they are and are who they are. That's refreshing.
Mm-hmm. But now that you've got all this good information, you've got all this intel that you've collected on people. Now maybe it's a way of shuffling the deck to put people together in that response comments together with people that can help them with the things that they aren't good at. If you got one that says, I have no confidence in my mixing, and the other one's great with mixing but doesn't know how to fill out a 1099. Maybe you just cross thread some of those people together and say, you should talk to him because he does what you need, and you should talk to him because he does what. It's kind of like a therapy session, sort of like
mutual
it's out there. It's like putting together the people that need help from the others.
They're all there, but what was interesting was, and I saw this comment. I haven't read all the comments. There's a lot of comments, but I've read a few, and some of them really stuck. One that really stuck was somebody said, "I think one of my weaknesses is scratching, but I don't think anybody wants that anyway." And it was honest and true.
Depends on what he's scratching.
It's a very powerful spice. You don't need a lot of it.
Or where he's scratching.
Yeah.
Yeah. When was the last time you got a phone call from somebody that says, "Yeah, we're looking for a DJ who scratches"? Do you scratch? Yeah. I've never gotten that call.
You got to be a battle comp DJ. We want one of you guys. One of you.
I was thinking today. This is 2024, which means I have been doing this professionally for 40 years. And not once has anyone came to me and said, "Hey, can you scratch? We need a scratch DJ."
That's a great song, but could I really use some scratching in there?
Could do some scratching. Can you scratch on that? I'm not.
And you play Herbie Hancock Rocket and just walk away like, there you go. There's your scratching.
I'm not crapping on the art form. I'm totally not. What I am doing is kind of laughing at the notion that this is a skill that we need to even think about. It just doesn't make any sense to me that people put importance into things like that. If you want to learn how to do it, that's fine. But to think that you need to learn how to do it to be successful is weird.
Yeah.
Right.
In 83, 84, it was kind of important for a minute, and then it just went away.
If you lived in South Bronx, yes.
Could you progressively mix a record into another record like a drum beat? Then, okay, that was, there wasn't.
Well, even back then, John, most of that stuff was just kind of a byproduct of the loops you were doing. We talked about that just you and I were talking about this. Granted, I was talking to your alter ego at the time. I totally understand that.
If you've only got 4 bars as a loop and you got 2 copies of the record, you just got to keep that moving,
And you're going to hear a scratch once in a while. You're going to hear a backspin. You're going to hear boom. You're going to do that. It's going to happen. That's kind of what it was back then. It wasn't a whole scratch routine, kind of like how it's become. And I know Flash does it.
Yeah, like when they were using Big Beat from Billy Squier, or even Jim Master J, and he famously said,
"Yes,
using the Walk This Way cut, like, yeah, stop it before that guy starts to sing. We only want the intros beats, and just loop it, And so sometimes you hear strange noises, and they maybe weren't intentional at first, but they ended up on some pretty famous records over the years.
I do think that particular commentary was spot on. It's something that I feel like is a weakness, but I really don't feel like that it's anything I need to worry about doing.
It's not urgent. If you get around to it in the next 10 years.
Yeah, scratching is my greatest weakness. And I will go through some of these. I will be anonymous about that. Well, they weren't anonymous, but I will make them anonymous.
Yeah, you got a ton of comments on that video, on that post.
There's plenty to talk about. And it's something that you mentioned is, I got one here talking on the mic in public. And somebody says most of the times I'm out with an MC. So they bring a separate MC with them because they know that is not what they do, is public speaking. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is true anymore, but I remember that they would ask people, what's the greatest fear? And public speaking ranked higher than death.
It can be frightening, public speaking. I mean, it really is, because everybody's eyes are on you. Yep. Here you are holding that mic, and it's like having a spotlight on you while you're talking. And of course, it's going to make you, scared at first until you get used to it. Obviously, you're going to get over that bump, like John said, and then once you do, it's like, give me that mic. I got this. Right.
School days, like growing up, they'd have us go over to like Mass, and they'd pick 3 students. You're doing a reading, and we all got mic practice, whether you wanted to or not. At the age of 12, 13, like you were in command for a paragraph and a half, and then you just kind of work through it and get over. And the more you do it, we're seasoned. It doesn't scare us anymore. We can get out there and we can pronounce difficult names and not and you don't have to fill space. We say words that have meaning, and if you hear us on the microphone, it's something important that needs to be said.
Well, I mean, as far as your speaking style, there are people out there who do plenty of ands, ums.
We had a show on that one already.
Yeah, but they're not even self-aware of it, or if they are, they don't feel like it's a problem. So that's maybe we'll just write that off as artistic interpretation of being an MC.
You don't know you are the one
could argue
until you
that,
hear
but-
yourself. If you record yourself and listen to it on the playback and count how many ums and ahs, it's scary. And then you quickly realize, I have to fix this. This is too many ums and ahs.
Well, that's how I did it. I mean, I didn't really fix it until I started doing YouTube videos and heard myself talk all the time and riff on things. Wow.
Right.
I don't even use those types of vowels or
don't stick in noises to fill space.
I don't use it in casual conversation, let alone when I'm speaking on a microphone now, but I did. So a lot of people do it. But what are they afraid of? What do you think? Do you think they're afraid of ridicule? Or do they feel vulnerable? What do you think the fear of public speaking really is? I mean, from someone who's not afraid, because I don't care. I don't care what anyone thinks of me, and I'm not competitive. I'm like a really dangerous person. But that's really in my head. But let's pretend that you're a normal person. What are you afraid of? What's the fear of public speaking? Is it
Probably pronunciation.
You think so?
Is that right?
Well,
Yeah.
maybe. I think it's just being up there and vulnerable. Like, here I am, everyone look at me. And some people don't like that kind of attention. And
Okay, I can understand that.
You could be a little shy. That could have something to do with it.
Shy is something I never understood
Shy.
either, but I know people are shy, but I don't understand shy.
Yeah.
I've never been shy.
I'm just trying.
No, you're right though.
Well,
You're right. I'm just trying to understand it. I'm trying to find something that I can comprehend to understand where this is. I'm trying to be empathetic. And to do this, I need to find a common.
Got one thing
Something.
that I think could make this happen to somebody is, and this has happened a lot with some people, not everybody. They don't like the sound of their voice.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and I
Yeah.
can, yes.
So
can.
yeah. What Tenny? What?
in a tin can.
My tin can. I know I sound pretty shitty. I heard. But yeah, my thing is I feel I might look foolish and people might think less of me because I just look stupid. You know?
Oh, but you got that thing Brian brought up earlier. Then
Well,
thing. No,
well, what I brought up earlier, and I don't want this to get confused. The idea of imposter syndrome is, and like I said, the opposite of thinking you're great when you're not. So if you need work at something and you're not there, yet you are putting yourself there, yeah, you are a real imposter. But the imposter syndrome is you're more than capable of being there, performance-wise, knowledge-wise. You've got the chops, yet you still feel you're not good enough. That's what that is. Just to I guess help define it a little better.
to me, that sounds like OCD.
Could be part of it.
They
but-
are a lot alike, really, if you think about it. Like OCD, no, it's going to get better. I could do better. That picture is crooked. I got to fix that. No, it's still crooked.
It's okay to fix the picture. It's not okay okay. I'll share. My ex-wife had OCD really bad.
Okay.
And this is what OCD is, because I've lived it. And it's weird. Every night, every single night before we go to bed. Did you lock the door? Yes. Are you sure? Yeah, I locked the door. Did you check it?
Yeah.
Well, no, but I locked it. Well, I'll go check it. And then she'll go physically check it. Okay. And then she'll walk away and do something else. And then she'll go back and check it again. And then she'll go do something else and check it a third time before she can actually go to bed. That's obsessive compulsive. When you just, it's goofy. It's
hyper focusing on something, and
it's hyper focusing on something. Yeah.
But that's nothing you have control over.
But she does know she went and already looked at it, and you tell her, it's like, hey, you just looked at it. It's locked. Or she doesn't.
For some reason in her brain, she couldn't convince herself that it was actually locked. Well, maybe it just seemed like it was locked. Well, let me check. Let me do this. Let me pull on it this way. I'll relock it just in case the way you turned it isn't good. The way I turn it's that is what I understand to be OCD. I am not a psychologist, nor do I play one on TV, but I've lived with it. And that is the definition of.
I am living with it. This is my current wife, you know?
Yeah.
Hey, I try to convince her, you're happy in this marriage, honey. You are. You know? And you really are.
You are.
Say it 3 times.
Yes.
Cheers, yeah. But
about the microphone, I have found that the mic has power, you know? Like when I'm holding a microphone, I'm in charge. And when I'm in charge, I'm very confident.
yeah.
You know, what are you going to do to me? I'm louder than you. Everyone's looking at me. What could you possibly do to me? What can you say to me? I could say something right back to you. I've got the mic. You're going to have to listen to me. You have to deal with me. You can close your mouth. You can plug your nose. You can close your eyes. You can't close your ears. You can't do it. You can put, I definitely can't. I got one hand. I can do one finger, but I still got to hear it out of this ear. You can't close your ears without something physical to do it for you. So when you're on a microphone, you got all the power. They have to deal with you. And it's, I don't know, kind of something that's always kind of helped me along a little bit with that.
I am microphone man.
That's right.
That's it. There's a pressure. There's a certain pressure of doing it correctly that might also be part of the fear that if they screw up, they think they're going to look like a moron. And
Right. I mean, yeah.
you got to get over the fear. You got to be the moron sometimes, and then it's like, okay, joke's on me. I'll be the butt of the joke, haha. And then you move on and say what needs to be said.
Yeah. Well, like anything else, though, I mean, I think that when you first start using a microphone, a script is a good idea. Just to have some, or at least an outline.
Yeah, bullet points.
Right. So you don't drift. So you don't panic. What am I going to say here?
Okay.
Say it.
Yeah, so they don't go deer in the headlights, just freeze and don't know what to do at that point. You know, it helps.
I'm not going to lie. When I started radio, I used to write down like what I was going to say.
Sure.
Just so I had it in front of me.
Uh-huh.
You know? And after a while, you don't need that anymore because you just roll out.
You can riff. Yeah.
Whatever. Right.
But that comes with practice. You have to, crawl before you can walk. And I think scripted things are a good idea. The other thing that I would suggest is slow down. Don't try to rush through anything. Just try to speak clearly and concisely. And don't, because I've heard people try to rush through things on a microphone. So I get this done really fast. I won't have to be up here for as long. And no one understands what they say.
Like a flight leaving at the airport.
Do they get higher voice too as they go faster and faster and faster? Their voice sort of elevates?
Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, cadence isn't something that they're even, the cadence gets all screwed up. If you speak to somebody, and I have noticed this, Kevin, when I speak to somebody, there's cadence in their voice and there's things that they punctuate and vowels that they articulate better than others, and they have a style of speaking just in conversation. When they get on a microphone, it just sounds robotic sometimes, and it can get real fast. Okay, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, can you remember being in like elementary school and they asked that kid to read out loud to the class?
Oh, I hated that.
And the kid was like, "The green monkey slept on the log." That's the microphone.
You just wanted to go over there and grab it. Let me read it for you.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Call that reading.
Lunchtime. Come on.
It's not for everybody, though. I mean, we all have our own skill sets. Some you can develop. Yeah, sure. And some people have the aptitude for certain things. And quite frankly, some don't. There are things that I don't have the aptitude for. And I'm not doing those things,
There you go. Right.
They may or may not be related to my field of work, but I don't have the aptitude for it. And I've come to that conclusion, and I'm okay with that. So not everybody is going to be able to be everything. How's that sound?
Well,
maybe it's okay to have an MC if you just, for some reason, feel like that. I have no business on a microphone ever, but I'm a really solid DJ. I'm going to have somebody MC this event. I don't see a thing wrong with that. Personally.
I don't either. In fact, I think that's pretty cool if you think about it. Like, yeah, you do that,
yeah,
and I'll do this.
Right.
I think it's it puts on more of a show. Actually, I think.
Sure.
He's my MC. I'm doing, really.
Yeah. Well, back in the old days when we were doing those team mobiles, it was exactly that. It was a show.
Right.
And I mean, as a side note, I remember the music library wasn't strong and the sound quality of the system wasn't good. And they were crappy 45s. They were very cue burnt. They were on terrible turntables and a terrible sound system. So we had to really rely on our wit and our timing to be able to pull off our events. I remember thinking, I did this for a couple of years. I remember thinking, man, if I had the music, the right music, I wouldn't have to say a word on this microphone. I wouldn't have to, hey, is everybody having a good time?
Yeah. I don't even do that today.
Well, I do it, and I tell you when I do it. I don't do it if there's any doubt in my mind they're not enjoying themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's an open-ended question, and it's dangerous if you ask it at the wrong time. When will I do it? I will do it at the peak of the night when they're losing their minds. And that's when I know they're having the time of their life. And I won't get on the microphone and say, are you having the time of your life? No. I'll take it down. You guys having a good time? Good. I'm having the time of my life. And they lose their minds. And it's interactive and it's cool. But that's when I do it. When I know
it's a loaded question at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no question they're having a good time. I'm just giving them an opportunity to scream something at this point.
It's reverse psychology.
It's very much reverse psychology. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I heard something a long time ago about practice and being an MC. It's not practice makes perfect. It's perfect practice makes perfect. If you're not good at it, and you keep doing it the same way that's wrong,
you keep doing the wrong thing over and over again. Yeah.
So I've just always kind of had that. That's true with anything. If you don't think you can blend songs, keep at it till you can't do it wrong, till it becomes second nature. But if you don't think you have the skill and you keep teaching yourself to do it the wrong way, you're never going to see a change. You're never going to see growth. You're never going to develop. And that's true with any facet of life. It doesn't just have to be about DJing. No,
and I don't care what you
sermon for the night.
Everybody in this room, and probably a bunch of the people that are going to watch this show, we all have that one word that we find hard. It's hard to say. Am I wrong? We all have.
Oh yeah, I get tongue-tied on words all the time. Right. Yeah,
and no matter how much you say it, it doesn't come out right.
Yeah,
and
what's your word?
Oh, I'm not telling you.
Oh, come on. I'll try to think of one I'll screw up. Come on, tell me. I got brain damage.
I'll go first. It's names. It's like, what's your name? Steve wants to hear the song. Bob wants to hear this song. Like, the name's gone. The second if I don't write it down, it's gone.
Oh, I forget names. But what Eric's talking about is a word that you just can't get your head around.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Is it ambidextrous when you both hands work at the same time? I don't know how to say that word.
I don't even know what that means. I wouldn't say it.
What? John's laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Ambidextrous, I think is what you're
ambidextrous?
You can ambidextrous. You can write with both
ambidextrous?
hands. Ambidextrous. You can use both hands and do the same thing.
Boy, no, I can't do it. I can't. My mouth won't make that sound. That's what Eric's talking about.
I'm talking about that then.
I open up a can of worms because now I can't even think of my word because I avoid it. It'll come.
Some people struggle with like aluminum or
linoleum.
Mine is
aluminium.
Yeah. Well, it's if you're British. That's okay then.
Oh,
aluminium.
Anomaly?
No, anonymous.
That's not a word.
Anonymous.
Never
anonymous.
That's why I can't. Anonymous.
No, but I understand where Eric's at. There's words that I can't get my head around.
How do you say it? Anonymous.
Yep, you said it. Anonymous.
You know, I was in the car the other day with Stevie, and I was saying something, and it was repetitive of whatever it was saying because I kept saying it over and over again. And this person is this, and they think like this, and I kept using the word over and over again. And we're walking to the store, and Stevie replies, "Yeah, I understand that person is," and she says the word beautifully. Like, I wasn't even using the first letter, wasn't even right in what I was saying. I knew what I meant, but I wasn't pronouncing it right. Yeah, dude, all the time, especially, yeah.
Like in my radio days, when I was doing the forecast, I would always mess up precipitation. Yeah, right. Because it's like precipitation.
Precipitation?
Right. I'm like,
prescription?
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't say that.
It's too close.
I said moisture in the air. That's it.
Damp.
I used to mess up prescription and subscription.
Okay.
I used to not remember which one went where. I mean, I know what to do now, but there was a time when I didn't.
Well, there's a prescription. I don't think there's a prescription.
Yeah.
And a subscription.
It's prescription.
Yeah.
No, prescription is.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. PRE.
It's prescription. Yeah.
Yeah.
Script.
Words to avoid.
Script. Give me a script. I need a script.
Script.
Right.
I think is what they always. Maybe they were saying script. I don't know. Script.
I think. Yeah.
Or script.
You get your scripts from the doctor. Yeah, I got my scripts. Yeah.
Yeah, your scripts.
Yeah.
And when you're acting, you get a script too. And when you're talking on the mic, sometimes you should use a script. Yeah.
You need a script. See how we put all that together?
Brought it all around. Well, folks, that was one of the weirdest Tuesday night music shows we've ever had.
I liked it.
But at least none of us have imposter syndrome. So, okay.
No, we don't have pasta syndrome.
Or the full of syndrome either.
Yeah. Dunning, whatever. The other Keating.
Yeah. Dunning kidney beans. I don't know what that was. I don't remember. I'd have to read it again. Koenig? Was it Koenig? What the hell was it?
Yeah. Single serving words. You'll never use them again.
No, right. Exactly. Well, they're proper names. And like you said, John, you screw proper names up. And I do too.
You're absolutely right, Kevin.
Yes.
Okay. The worst. When I'm doing a wedding and I got somebody who's either Megan or Megan, and I don't know which one it is.
Well, yeah, when it's written.
And she's going to get furious if I say it wrong, but I can't tell the difference.
Karen,
the way it's spelled.
Yeah, all those. Write it out phonetically. That's all I can do. It's Kieran, a lot of E's. E-E-E-E-R-A-N.
You got Anna and Anna. You're getting screwed there because Cassandra and Cassandra spelt the same way, but they get different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on, but yeah.
Potato head.
I did a wedding for a girl named Charmaine one time, and I almost lost my mind. This was 30 years ago. I could not say that word. Because I was reading it, and it doesn't read the way she spelled it like it sounds.
Hey, don't squeeze shaman.
Oh,
yeah.
Those Irish names. Isn't it seahorse? It's like, no, it's Shorsha. It's like, that looks like seahorse.
I phonetically spell words for a reason, and it's so annoying because I will tell clients, look, these are my notes. I have phonetically spelled words here so I can pronounce them properly on the microphone. So I understand that your name actually starts with a G.
Right.
But since it makes an L sound, I wrote it down with an L.
Yeah.
Okay. Without fail. Hey, this name is spelled wrong. I know it is. Well, it's spelled like this. I don't care because I'll never be spelling your name. I'm only saying your name. I don't care how it's spelled. It doesn't matter to me. I know it matters to you, but not to me.
But it needs to make sense phonetically to me when I say it. As I breeze across that line, it needs
to happen to me.
Yep.
It's happened to me once. I do like, when you line them up before you bring them in at a wedding, right? And then you're going over the names like, no, that's not how you say it. But all this time, like I'm setting up and I'm going on. You know how you do this at a way? It's just setting up, going over the names and
Sure.
And I was saying it wrong so long.
That you couldn't change it.
Right. And then I went over and spelt it the way it was said, and I still said it wrong
Yeah.
when I brought him in, and I'm like, I already spelt it the way I should have, but my head said, no, it's this. I don't know. That did happen to me one time, and everybody, it wasn't a big thing. It wasn't anybody, it was like a bridesmaid or whatever, but.
To get over it.
Yeah.
What a while back.
Yeah.
I think the girl's name was Florence.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't call her Florence. They called her Flor. Fleur.
Floor.
And I'm like, Floor? No, Fleur. I'm like, what I just said. No. Fleur.
F-L-U-R. F-L-U-R, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll spell it like
right.
Fleur then.
That's like roof and rough, right? It depends on what part of the country you're from.
Right.
It's just that. The house top.
Right.
It's a rough. It's not a rough, it's a roof.
The roof. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get along with people that say roof. Are you talking about your dog or the thing on the top of the
roof? Yeah, the rough.
Sit, boo-boo, sit.
The rough was on fire.
Up on the rough.
The roof.
Yeah. From Ohio. They're from Ohio. They're always from Ohio when they talk like that.
All right. I think it's about that time. I don't know what.
Fine.
Really, I don't want none of this to get cut off. This is
all right. We're under time, but yeah.
This is premium stuff here.
Yeah. So happy birthday to Jay again.
Happy birthday to Jay.
Happy birthday.
We'll see him later, I'm sure.
He's filling his cake hole with cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So happy birthday to you, Jay.
Yes, sir.
It's nice that you're 30 again, or however old you are. We don't know.
30
For the third time. Yeah.
So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.